Hey guys, welcome back to the course. In this lesson, we will cover the most important part for this specific course, and it's gonna be Boto3 documentation. So first of all, an ability to read the documentation and follow it without any courses is the most important skill which you might have in general. Moreover, the Boto3 documentation is one of the most extensive source of information about AWS APIs. And I highly recommend to read it even if you are not using Boto3 library in general. So the link for the Boto3 documentation will be provided in the resources section for this lesson, and of course we will be adding an additional links to every single AWS service which we're gonna be covering throughout the course, and provide the links to the most up-to-date source of information. Now, how to actually read this documentation, how to use it. First of all, the landing page for Boto3 documentation contains a couple of very useful links. First of all, it's a quick start guide where you can find additional information how to install and configure your Boto3 library on your own laptop for your own environment using AWS secret and access keys and stuff like that nature. So if you are following this course from your local laptop, feel free to use this quick start guide just to have an ability to configure your laptop and your local development environment. Now, the landing page itself contains an additional source of information like sample tutorials for SQS, for example, where you can find information how to create queues, use existing ones, send messages, processing messages, and stuff like that nature. In addition to that, Boto3 team covered within examples additional services like CloudWatch, DynamoDB, EC2, and many others, right? So if you're just looking for quick and dirty examples of how to use the service, you may just literally jump to this code examples and try to find an example of what you're looking for. If you cannot find the specific example of what you're looking for, either in the quick start guide or in our lessons which we're going to be publishing quite soon, you probably will need to go to another section of the documentation which is called available services. And as soon as we are clicking on this section, we will get a complete list of all AWS services which Boto3 library supports. Now, we need to find the actual specific service which we are trying to use through the API. So for simplicity, let's try to find an S3 service, right? And go there. So as soon as we clicked on the service link, we are coming to the documentation related to that specific service. And as you can see, it contains a lot of information. First of all, it contains the information about Boto3 S3 client. Then it contains information about Boto3 service resource or Boto3 resource related to the S3 service, and then a whole bunch of classes related to the Boto3 S3 resources. Now let's start from the client itself. As soon as we are clicking on the client, you will get a code which shows you how to instantiate the client in the simplest possible way. As you can see, all we need to do is just to call the import the Boto3 library and then call a client and provide the service name, and voila, we're getting a client. Now, what we can do with this client? We can call a whole bunch of methods to do certain operations with the service. So for example, let's take a look at the create bucket operation. And as you can see, the create bucket operation contains all, I would say, a lot of nuances of using that specific API call. If you scroll down, we are not interested in them right now. We can see the actual request syntax. And for every method, for every AWS service, you will find that specific bits of information. So you will find information how to make an API call, right? What parameters you may use in the actual method, and what are the possible values for that specific parameter. And if you will scroll down, you will see a pretty good explanation of every single parameter. What is the type of the parameter, if it is required or not, and so on and so forth, right? So for for AWS services which exist through a long period of time, you may find an additional bits of information within examples, how to use it. So for example, in that specific case, here's an example of using the Boto3 client library to create an S3 bucket with that specific bucket name and location constraint, which will create an S3 bucket in a specific EU West 1 AWS region. And of course, the Boto team provided us an example of the response structure, which we should expect from the method back. And as you can see, we are getting a location of an S3 bucket and the response metadata, which contains the information about the timestamp and so on and so forth. Usually we are ignoring these bits of information. So let's go back to the beginning of the page and pay attention to the service resource link. So just to keep you aware, the service resources and these additional classes might not be implemented for every single AWS service. Again, you may expect that the clients are implemented, but the rest of the, I would say, things might not be implemented, right? In that case, you have to rely on the client operations and use Boto3 clients for the resource, only clients. Now, if the service resource is available, you can click on it and take a look what or how to instantiate the resource. And the instantiation of the resource is pretty simple. Again, we are importing Boto3 library and then calling the resource method. Resource factory method providing an S3 service name and getting an S3 resource. Now, every single resource related to the S3 service support those two methods. One of them for creating bucket, another one for getting available sub-resources. So let's take a look at the create bucket method. And as you can see, it contains pretty much a similar explanation for the method like we saw in the client, but if you'll scroll down a little bit, you will see pretty same method signature. I mean, all the parameters are pretty much the same, but if you will scroll down, we will see that the return type is not a dictionary, but it is S3 bucket. So now, if you would like to understand what we can do with the S3 bucket return type, we need to go back to the documentation and click on the bucket class and see what is available over here. And as you can see, first of all, the Boto3 team provides us with information how to instantiate the class by itself. So if we are trying to work with an already existing bucket, we can call something like Boto3 resource, then bucket, provide the bucket name, and get an instance of the class representing our already existing bucket. And there are a couple of things which we might be interested in. First of all, the resource identifier like name, which will always contain the bucket name, creation date. Of course, several methods which allows us to create, delete objects, put objects, upload files, and of course we can use sub-resources. And again, to work with the sub-resources, we need to instantiate additional classes. For example, if we are looking for tagging information for the S3 bucket, we have to use this tagging class, which need to be instantiated from the bucket instance. So again, we are getting information about already existing bucket, then calling a tagging class, and right after that, what we can do, we can get, for example, a tag set, which will describe all the tags which our S3 bucket contains. And as you can see, the returned information from the tag set will be type of list, and every single item of this list will be a dictionary, which every single item of the dictionary will contain a key value pairs, like the key name of the tag and the value of the tag. So that's exactly how you're walking through Boto3 documentation. That's it for this specific lecture. Starting from the next lessons, we will start covering AWS services. So stay tuned and see you in the next lesson.